Intro. 9 young hikers went into the snowy Ural Mountains of Russia in 1959, but only their lifeless bodies came back. Their tent was found slashed open from the inside. Some died from hypothermia. Others suffered devastating injuries with no visible wounds. One woman was even missing her tongue and eyes. To this day, no one knows for sure what happened. Was it an avalanche? A Soviet military experiment? Or something far stranger? Or maybe something we don't think that will happen? This is the terrifying mystery of the Dyatlov Pass Incident. The hikers. The group consisted of 10 people, mostly students from the Ural Polytechnical Institute. They were led by Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student known for his leadership and discipline. Each member was physically fit, trained in skiing and hiking. This wasn't a beginner group. These were experienced adventurers. Their ages ranged from early 20s to mid-30s. On January 28th, one member, Yuri, became ill and returned home. He would later say that decision saved his life. The expedition. Their goal was to reach Mount Otorten, a remote peak in the northern Urals. They set up camps along the way, keeping diaries and taking photos. The group seemed happy and in good spirits. On February 1st, they pitched their tent on the slope of Kholat Syakhl, a name that means dead mountain in the language of the local Mansi people. That night would be the last anyone saw them alive. Discovery of the tent. When they missed their return date, search teams went looking. Weeks later, rescuers found their tent half buried in snow. The most shocking detail, it had been cut open from the inside. Inside were boots, coats, food, journals, everything. It looked as if the hikers had fled suddenly into a deadly snowstorm, some barely dressed. The bodies. The first 2 bodies were found under a large cedar tree. They were barefoot, wearing only underwear, with burned hands, suggesting they tried to make a fire. 3 more bodies were found between the tree and the tent, as if they were trying to crawl back. Months later, the last 4 were discovered in a ravine under several feet of snow. Their injuries stunned investigators. 1 had a crushed skull. 2 had massive chest fractures, similar to a car accident, but no external wounds. Lyudmila Dubinina was missing her tongue, eyes, and part of her lips. Some clothing had traces of radiation. In the endless white silence, faint footprints trailed away from the torn tent. No boots, no clear direction, just a haunting path vanishing into the snow. This is Igor Dyatlov, just 23 years old, a passionate and determined leader, known for his intelligence and love for adventure. In this photo, he stands with a calm confidence, unaware that his final expedition would soon become one of history's greatest mysteries. This article shows how the bodies of the group of people found, one by one. On February 27th, 1959, the bodies of Yuri Doroshenko, Yuri Krivonishenko, Igor Dyatlov, and Zinaida Kolmogorova were found in the snow. Autopsies revealed chilling details. Doroshenko showed signs of blunt trauma and lung damage. Krivonishenko had bitten off his own knuckle and suffered severe burns. Dyatlov was vomiting blood. And Kolmogorova carried a baton-shaped bruise across her waist. These were not the simple signs of freezing to death, but clues to a darker mystery on the Dyatlov Pass. This is a Soviet-era rangefinder camera, modeled after the famous Leica design of the 1930s. This was the camera that was used by Dyatlov Group to take photos during the expedition. The photos was clicked by various people of group. Its sturdy metal body, wrapped in black leather, gives it a timeless vintage appeal. The collapsible Induster lens, engraved in Cyrillic, reflects the craftsmanship of early USSR engineers. Image A. February 1959. A group of 9 experienced hikers set out into the freezing wilderness of the Ural Mountains. They were young, skilled, and determined to reach the summit of Otorten. This would be their final photograph. All of them alive. Image B. Days later, rescuers discovered their abandoned tent on the slope of Kholat Syakhl. The canvas was slashed open from the inside. Boots, clothes, and equipment were left behind, untouched. It was as if the hikers had fled into the deadly cold in a sudden panic. Image C. This map shows that modern research suggests a small avalanche may have struck their tent that night. A hidden weak layer beneath the snow could have caused a sudden collapse. Not a massive avalanche, but just enough to trap and injure them. In fear, they cut their way out and escaped into the darkness, unaware that this decision would seal their fate. This first image shows the Dyatlov group during their final expedition, skiing through the deep snow in the Ural Mountains. The second image captures investigators at the scene, examining the torn and abandoned tent found on the slope. The map explains the avalanche theory. The hikers pitched their tent on the mountain shoulder, where a wind slab rested on top of a weak snow layer. Over time, pressure, marked as flux Q, may have caused the slab to collapse. Beneath it lay the solid snow base and ground surface. This hidden danger created the conditions for a small but deadly avalanche. Investigators were baffled. The official report listed the cause of death as an unknown compelling force. Locals, the Mansi people, were briefly suspected, but no evidence supported this. Witnesses nearby claimed to have seen strange glowing orbs in the sky the night of the tragedy. To make matters stranger, the hiker's skin had a slightly orange tint, and their hair appeared to have turned gray. The theories. Let's break down the most famous theories. 1. Avalanche. The official ruling in 2019. They believed snow collapsed, forcing the hikers to flee. But critics argue the slope wasn't steep enough, and the tent was still standing. 2. Katabatic winds. These powerful winds can roar down mountains at hurricane force, disorienting and terrifying anyone in their path. This could explain why they panicked and fled, but not why some had such violent injuries. 3. Military testing. Many believe the area was used for secret Soviet weapons experiments. Strange lights in the sky could have been flares, missiles, or parachute mines. Radiation on the clothing, possibly fallout from military materials. If this theory is true, the truth may have been covered up. 4. Animal attack. Some suggest wild animals attacked, but the injuries don't match claw or bite wounds, and the tent was cut from inside, not torn by animals. 5. Paranormal/UFOs eyewitnesses reported glowing orbs in the sky. Could the hikers have encountered something otherworldly? The missing tongue and eyes fuel speculation of an alien abduction or other paranormal event. My theory. Here's what I think. The hikers likely heard or saw something terrifying outside. Maybe explosions or glowing lights from military tests. In panic, they slashed open their tent to escape quickly. Some froze to death trying to find shelter. The group in the ravine likely fell, explaining their broken bones. As for the missing tongue and eyes, after months in snow and water, scavenging animals and natural decomposition could explain it. I believe it wasn't aliens or monsters, but a deadly mix of human panic and secret Soviet experiments. Closing and outro. In 2019, Russia officially concluded it was an avalanche. But even now, experts argue the evidence doesn't fit. More than 60 years later, the Dyatlov Pass Incident remains one of history's coldest mysteries. So what do you think happened that night? Was it really an avalanche or something much darker? Share your theories in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Flash Case Files for more chilling true crime and mystery stories every week.